Hey everyone. Today I'm going to be ranking the John Wick movies. And I will not be including the Continental, A, because it's not a movie, and B, because I haven't actually finished it yet. Watched the first episode. First episode was solid. Never finished it for some reason. So, I'll get around to that eventually, but for now we're just sticking to the movies. As usual, spoiler alert. Starting off, number 4 is John Wick Chapter 2. Just because this is in last place doesn't mean it's a bad movie, because it's not. This is still a great movie. The reason I have it lower is that he doesn't have as much of a character arc as he did in the first movie, but the action isn't quite as excellent as it would become in 3 and 4. It's similar to what YMS said about Saw 2, comparable to his thoughts on that, where it's his least favorite Saw movie because it's not as smart as the first movie, but it's not dumb enough to be funny. It's kind of like that, but instead of silly and dumb, it's character arc versus action awesomeness. The action is still awesome, but it gets better in 3 and 4, and he has less of a character arc here than he did in 1. It's still a great movie. Ruby Rose is pretty good as the silent enforcer Ares. Common puts in a pretty solid performance as Cassian. I haven't seen him act in anything else, at least not that I can remember, but he was pretty solid. I love the scene with him and John just having a drink at the bar. It's well written, and it's also just a good example of how you can have a conversation and not have to cut every 5 or 10 seconds. You can just let it breathe.
Grazie.
Grazie mille.
I had a marker.
Whose?
Her brother.
I see. You had no choice.
He wants her seat at the table.
He'll get it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're free.
Am I?
No. Not at all.
All the returning cast is solid, and Ricardo Scamarcio makes for a really solid villain. Francis Nero is in this for a few minutes. He's solid. John Leguizamo is back. He brings some levity to things.
John, what the hell? I thought you loved this car.
What do you think?
Well, your motor's about to fall out, and the chassis is all bent up. The drive shaft is all destroyed, and I don't know if you noticed, but you got a crack in your windshield.
Some very welcome levity.
Let me know when it's fixed.
All right. They'll be ready Christmas 2030.
Claudia Girini makes the most of her screen time. And Peter Serafinowicz, again, minor role, but absolutely kills every second.
Could you recommend anything for the end of the night? Something big, bold.
May I suggest the Benelli M4? Custom bolt carrier release and charging handle. Textured grips, should your hands get wet. An Italian classic.
Dessert.
Dessert.
The first movie is basically a rock opera with action scenes instead of musical numbers. This movie is rather deliberately a video game. And there's good and bad that comes with that, but ultimately I like that they made the choice to do something different. I love the aesthetic of the ladies behind the switchboards and stuff, how it's they look like they're in a 50s uniform or something, but some of them are sleeveless and they're covered in tattoos and piercings. It's a mix of aesthetics, and I absolutely love it. Anyway, my score is 4 out of 5. Number 3 is John Wick Chapter 4. As much as I love this movie, as great as it is, I do feel like it's a little too long. The fight in the museum, that easily could have been cut, maybe not in half, but you could have trimmed off a third of that. and we would have still gotten the point. I get it. This movie is about excess. That's the whole point. But we still would have gotten that. But regardless, this is a wonderful conclusion to the story. The action is another step up overall. Doesn't have the best action scene, like, I'll get to that, but, like, overall the action is the best. Especially the top-down shootout with the Dragon's Breath shotguns. Now, in real life, that's not how Dragon's Breath works. For one, you can't use it in a semi-automatic shotgun. It has to be in a pump. I know there are straight pullback bolt-action shotguns. I don't know if it would work in those, but all I know is that it doesn't work in semi-automatic shotguns. And also, it's not quite that big of a boom each time you fire. But hey, they gotta amp it up a little bit for the movie, so I get it. I actually knew what it was prior to this movie because I had looked it up previously for something I was writing, and I found a YouTube video of someone shooting it, which I will show because it's awesome. And so as soon as I saw the words Dragon's Breath on the ammo box, I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. Keanu Reeves is great as usual. Lawrence Fishburne, Lance Reddick, Ian McShane, Clancy Brown and Hiroyuki Sanada pop in for a little bit, and they're both awesome. Donnie Yen is just so damn good. The first time I saw this movie, I did not recognize Scott Adkins, even when he started fighting. But that just goes to show how talented of a man he is. Overall, the musical score is maybe the best in the franchise. I don't know. It's definitely up there. The score is 4.5 out of 5. Number 2 is John Wick. The first one. Overall, this one has the least impressive action of the franchise, but that's not a point against it, because the action is still great.
No! He's here! He's fucking here! He's there! He's coming!
The reason I have this one ranked so high is because this is the one where John actually has like a full character arc. The others have him on like a longer arc, but overall it's just, this is the one where they didn't know they were getting sequels, so they had the contained character arc for this movie, and it works really well. In Filmjoy's video about this movie, he pointed out this movie is basically the boogeyman takes on Mount Olympus.
Apollo, god of guidance and light, Zeus, god of Olympus and keeper of law, order and peace, Ares, the god of war, Artemis, goddess of the hunt, Hephaestus, god of blacksmithing and cleaning up a crime scene, Deimos, son of Ares and terrified of war, Hades, who is just Willem Dafoe.
And yeah, he's kind of right. Willem Dafoe is just Hades. I would absolutely love to see him play Hades in something. This is a very satisfying revenge movie. What can I say? I will say that apparently, and this is kind of a thing throughout these movies, they don't do the best with foreign languages and accents and all that, but They're good enough that to the untrained ear, they sound fine, even if they're not that accurate, actually. It's a point against it, but, like, it's a minor complaint. But no, this movie's aesthetic. I mean, all of these movies have cool aesthetics, but, like, this one is a bit more subdued than the others, and I don't know, I kind of love it for that. And I mean, questionable accents aside, the acting is all pretty solid. Keanu is awesome, obviously. Mikael Nyqvist, really hope I said that right. Alfie Allen, Willem Dafoe, obviously. Adrian Palicki, I hope I said that right. She doesn't have a lot of screen time, but she's pretty awesome. She kicks some ass. Like in part 2, we have John Leguizamo is mostly here just to provide some, what's the word I used? He seems to be, like, mainly here to break the tension in certain moments, but also, like, still has some seriousness to him. Like the whole conversation between him and Vigo over the phone.
Aurelio speaking.
I heard you struck my son.
Yes, sir, I did.
Yeah, may I ask why?
Yeah, well, because he stole John Wick's car, sir, and, killed his dog.
Oh.
And fitting with the Greek mythology aspect, Lance Reddick's character is named Charon, or Charon, aka the entity that ferries souls to the underworld. A score is 4.5 out of 5. Finally, my number 1 is John Wick Chapter 3. Out of all of the sequels, I think this is one where John has the most obvious arc. Like, it's still not as big of an arc as in the first movie, but it's enough of one that it's actually noticeable. And also, it's in combination with, like, not the best action overall, but, like, consistently great action that includes the single best fight scene in the entire franchise, which is in, I want to say it was a museum? Whatever, like a weapons museum, or maybe it's a pawn shop, I don't fucking know. But, like, it starts with him breaking in, and there's, like, the build-up and the moment of tension where, like, he needs a gun, and there's all these antique revolvers, but he realizes the pieces are wrong, so he has to, like, pull a couple of them apart and put them into a gun that works. And, he does, but he only manages to get one shot off, but, like, that shot still buys him time to, like, fuck off over to the next room. Then they start breaking the glass and just throwing everything at each other. Knives, axes, just everything. It's so good. The music here, I don't know if the music in 3 or 4 is better, but, like, 3 and 4 definitely have the best music in the franchise. The music is still great in 1 and 2, but, like, they really took it a step up. Halle Berry is the other main thing that elevates this movie. She has a decent amount of screen time, so we get some depth out of her. She is just as much of a badass as John, and she's got 2 dogs who absolutely kick ass and are just so awesome. I know in real life, like, service dogs and shit like that, they would never be put in such direct danger, or at least not for such a prolonged period of time. However, if you can suspend your disbelief, it's just so fucking badass. Just watching her and these 2 very, very good dogs just kicking ass with John Wick. Asya Kate Dillon is the adjudicator. They are awesome. They have I don't know, there's just, like, this authority to them. Like, in the hands of a less talented actor, the authority, the perceived authority would have come from everyone around them, but they themselves would not have put it out. Asia, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, absolutely just exudes that authority, and they pull it off so well. And Mark Dacascos as Zero, one of the best side characters in the whole franchise. Because, like, he starts off completely serious, yeah, what do you need me to do? But then, once he gets around, like, John Wick, who he's a fan of, he turns into a fanboy. Even while he's trying to kill him. And just... it's so damn good. My score is 5 out of 5. Hey everyone, what's your ranking? Let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe and all that. If you don't like the video, tell me why. Try to be constructive. And then subscribe anyway. You'll be notified when I upload a new video. Watch that and tell me why that one sucks. Or tell me where I've improved, whatever the case may be. That's all for now. Stay safe in these crazy times.